On this episode of Boomer, get back to your wheelchair, get your refill of blue pills, and call it a day. He's trying to join the military at 59 years old. We're going to talk about that right here. What is up, guys? You're tuning in to NickyMGTV for another video. As always, you can hit me up on Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, or down in the comments below. Always make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, notification bell, all the great things that push the channel while we are in the best time and period ever. Thanks to you guys for pushing it. We're growing better and bigger than ever. Now, look at this. There is a guy named Monty that is sitting here trying to join the military at 58, going on 59, and he actually makes it to boot camp. Now, as you guys know, most of the people that are joining the military are joining around 18 to 22 years old, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, with no dreams other than pretty much Corvette or the Mustang, or some of the girls that are down at the strip club that are by the base that are probably going to try and get married, take their money. You know, it's a big fiasco, but I think everyone's got to go through it at least once. And this video, nonetheless, is made by AARP, where they dive into his story right here.
Nobody ever goes through basic training and thinks to themselves, oh, I want to repeat that.
Off the ground. Around. Around.
I figured my Marine Corps boot camp that I went through in 1978 was sufficient.
Monty, let's be honest. The military has been a little bit more progressive since 1978. We're talking about Iraq, Afghanistan, Iraq again, you know. The tactics have changed, man. We've definitely learned a lot since then. So I don't think that going to boot camp once is going to just say, oh, you don't have to go again. Because honestly, there are a lot of things that you will have to understand that I think are basic still, especially a gap where you're looking at about, 30-something years.
I was unaware that I was going to have to go back to basic training. Picture yourself, a 59-year-old man, being thrust into a situation by which you have to be with 17 to 19-year-olds for 3 months. Words are pretty cheap. You don't sit around and talk about what you can do. You show people what you can do.
I agree with them. I wouldn't want to be with some of you 18-year-olds coming in emotionally, just all over the place crying because you miss your girlfriend. This dude's sitting here. He's already been in the military once, and he's sitting here with a bunch of babies crying, man, Jody left me. And he's like, listen here, son, I've been there. I've got a couple Jody letters myself. Back in 1979, Mary left me for a guy that worked down by the bar. And, they had 3 kids, and I came back to nothing.
In 1978, I enlisted in the United States Marine Corps for 3 years. Got out and got into law enforcement. And then Desert Storm broke out, and I went back into the military, hoping to get into combat operations. I've been deployed to Afghanistan, Kuwait, Asia. I was in the infantry, and I joined the National Guard up to about 2009, and then I exited service.
All right. We'll give him some credit here. He went through Desert Storm, Desert Shield era in the early 90s, and obviously did serve until 2009. Kind of weird that he would have gotten out at that point to come back in a third time, but you know what, man? People are idiots every day. People are re-enlisting here, there, everywhere. You're already crazy enough to do it once. You guys know the phrase, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Fool me 3 times, just call me an idiot. Yeah, I don't know anyone else that's trying to go for a third time to come back through the process, not just re-enlisting.
Today, I wanted to go back for 4 different reasons. One was because my son is in the Army Reserve near my home. The ability to serve with my son, which very few people get an opportunity to do. That was a biggie. Then the next one was I have about 2 more years to do to get my retirement from the United States Army. Number 3, I felt like I wanted to serve my nation. I had much more to give. And number 4, and most importantly, I felt like I was physically fit enough, good enough health, to do anything that anybody else could do out there and serve.
Listen, you had a chance to correct this. You had a chance to tell him to go active duty, but you're like, hey, man, do you want to do this Weekend Warrior thing? We're just going to rock it out every weekend. I swear, they just have a couple beers, to play a little bit of volleyball, to hang out. We're warriors on the weekend. We got 2 weeks a year. We really got to do this thing. Listen, man, I've been here before. We've done it. I got you. We're going to get you that retirement, okay?
My nation in a productive way. So that was the decision-making process for me, so here I am.
Do you guys see this? This is a 59-year-old that is doing the knee tuck. While we just talked about earlier this year, people could not even pass the Army combat fitness test, not to mention, haven't covered this, but they're saying it's unfair to women as well. So they're trying to retract that. So this guy's 59 and he's doing the Army combat fitness test. Damn.
But you know what? I think you don't have to give up when you get older. You keep going.
So I figured, why not? I think I'm extremely driven. I'm not going to take no for an answer, and I'm not going to quit. I'm going to exhaust every possible avenue to achieve the desired end goal. There were some areas of conflict getting back in. I had to submit packages and hundreds of pieces of paper. After 14 months of going through this process, they said, okay, you can come to the recruitment station. We'll put you back through the physical one final time. That was physical number 4.
He said physical number 4. That also did not include the original physical when he first came in 1978. Also on top of that, when he came back for Desert Storm. So when you look at this guy's been through at least a minimum of 6 physicals, not to mention the ones he went through while he was in, and 14 months of processing. Me as a creator that talks about military stuff, people write me, Nicky, my recruiter's not fast enough. I'm not in the military 2 weeks later. This dude spent 14 months to do it. Be patient, relax, it's okay. It can take a little while.
By the way, during the process of signing the contract and going through the paperwork, they told me, oh, and by the way, there's been a regulation change. You have to go back to basic training. I stopped and looked at him and said, what are you talking about? That's ridiculous. I didn't have to go back through basic training the last time. Why would I have to go back through basic training now? They said, well, the regulations changed, so I guess that's it, huh? You're not gonna do the contract. And I thought to myself, I'm 59 years old. I just really do not want to do this. But this is just another obstacle that's been laid before my feet to stop me from doing this, and I'm just gonna do it.
Monty, I gotta salute you. You're not an officer, but I'll salute you for a second and say, listen here. There are people that are 18 years old right now that are so scared of boot camp. They're like, oh my God, my fragile body. My mom will not be there for me to milk off of her body to nourish my cells. What's gonna happen when they yell at me? Will I be forced to work out? This guy is like triple the age of many of the people that are coming into the military. And it's funny how many people are scared to even join. And this guy's doing it for a 3rd time.
The drill sergeants, when they saw me, were stunned. It became comical to me because I knew when a new drill sergeant would see me, they would instantly stop. There was like a moment of hesitation and they would kind of look at me and then at some point walk up to me and ask me, how old are you? I've never seen anything like this. This is bizarre.
I love this because I can only imagine, not only did they ask how old he is, but they're probably the best insults you could ever have. One, we already know he's called grandpa. That's okay. That's because he probably literally is a grandpa. If he's not, your son, but find a girlfriend somewhere. Strip club, it's down the way. He'll find it. It's usually on the left-hand side. There's a Mustang out front, usually, maybe a Corvette. Just be ready for that. And then just tell him to pick one up, bring it back to base. So legal already knows how to do the paperwork. I can only imagine the insults besides grandpa coming at this guy where they're like, hey, listen here, grandpa, I'm going to break your hip if you don't even start doing these push-ups, all right?
To be an example to everyone there, people were really curious about why I was there and would tell me openly that it was really motivational and inspiring to have me there with them. If this 59-year-old old guy can do this, I can certainly do this. I'm doing the same thing day in, day out. When they got punished, I was right there doing push-ups with them. Through the training, I won the confidence of the drill sergeants because I was able to do all the physical exercises, to do all the written tests, to do all the practical application tests without any problem whatsoever. I graduated in the top 10% of my class overall, but I was pretty glad to get out of there at that point. The single hardest thing to overcome in that environment is the age deviation and the way people think. The norms, the culture, what is acceptable, what is not acceptable. I was facing the adaptation to that. Other than that, the United States Army did an excellent job of organizing the training, administrating the training, the equipment, everything else leading up to that was stellar. It was much better than when I went through boot camp in 1978. It was excellent.
I can only imagine him telling war stories from being in the military during Desert Storm, Desert Shield era as well, before maybe some of his drill sergeants were even born yet. God, that's got to be such a humbling experience to see that you have more combat time, you have more combat experience than some of the drill sergeants that are there to teach you about the military. Like, they probably made you like an honorary instructor at certain points. Like, is that how you guys did it? Like, can you guys show, like, how'd you guys used to do it? Is this right? Like, did you guys do this in actual combat?
I graduated in the top 10% of my class overall, but I was pretty glad to get out of there at that point. Single hardest thing to overcome in that environment is the age deviation and the way people think. The norms, the culture, what is acceptable, what is not acceptable. I was facing the adaptation of that. Other than that, the United States Army did an excellent job of organizing the training, administrating the training, the equipment, everything else leading up to that was stellar. It was much better than when I went through boot camp in 1978. It was excellent.
You have to realize Monty went through when hazing was still a thing. So of course he's going to be like, yeah, I had to get used to the culture. This is a lot more politically correct than what I'm used to, especially in the Marine Corps with wall-to-wall counseling and all the other stuff you probably have heard about. Not to mention there wasn't cell phones or cameras anywhere nearby to document any of this stuff. So I'd love to hear his stories going through that time and that experience. So it looks like Monty is now in 2020 the official oldest person to graduate boot camp from the Army as far as we know, and it looks like he's got 2 years left in order to get that retirement. So on top of that, he is stationed out in Las Vegas at a reserve center out there. Grandpa, I know I'm giving you crap, but total kudos, respect. I got to joke on you a little bit because that's just what we do, and obviously the dude's got thicker skin than my grandmother at this point. To be honest, it's kind of humbling to look at somebody that says, do not let your age affect your ability to do something. I do want to say I do get frustrated by some of the age limits that are out there, such as commissioning age limits, etc., that make this difficult, but I don't see why if people meet the requirements, they can't join it. That's kind of frustrating because, you know, you look at it, there is a risk versus benefit, and I'm sure that's why, because obviously it is an investment to put somebody through basic training, boot camp, and all that kind of stuff, get them out into the regular military to serve there, and the chances that they will or will not get hurt can be very different based on the age, because it does hurt as you get older. I know a lot of you guys are only freaking 22. I used to feel great like you guys too. I'm now 30. My knee hurts and my brain's like, what's happening today? I forgot. But this brings us to the part of the video where we ask you guys. I always like to ask this question. Who was the oldest person in your boot camp that you experienced them going through that? How was that for you? And also, do you think the military should maybe get rid of or modify some of the requirements for people in certain ages or certain jobs, etc.? I'd love to know your guys' answers down in the comments below. But if you guys do have questions about this or anything else, you can always hit me up on Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, or down in the comments below. I love you guys. I'll see you next time.